Good evening. It is 5 o'clock and in the gist of ensuring that we run a tight ship and on time. We do not, as of yet, have an in-person quorum. I know we have one online, which gives us an overall quorum, but we need an in-person quorum before we can start the work session. And so we have two members of the commission on their way post haste. And as soon as they get in, we will call this work session to order. So we would like to apologize for our tardiness, and as soon as we have an in-person quorum, we will start our work session. Thank you. Good evening again. We apologize for our tardiness, so we'll try and move swiftly to what we have in front of us. What we have right now is an appeal to an alcohol beverage license, and the name of that business is the Fountain Package Store. The address 2300 Norwood Street. Permit type retail sale of beer, wine, and distilled spirits. And I will turn it over to Attorney Corey to give us some background.
Sure. This is an appeal from a denial from the City Commission. It was taken to Superior Court. It has been remanded back from Superior Court to the City Commission for further review on appeal. The Superior Court provided some guidance in that we need to go back, review the application as they submit their evidence, and they may approve with conditions, or deny the petitioner's application, meaning the City Commission may. It is an appeals hearing, so it's limited to the evidence that the applicant wishes to present, as well as whatever evidence that the City Commission wishes to consider. I think I've provided some of the background, the ordinance considerations, pertinent ordinance sections, and I think letters preceding this hearing, and then I think some other documentation that the City Commission has requested you all should have in an email earlier today. But at this time, I think it would be appropriate to open it up to allow the applicant to present the evidence they wish to present. And then I would ask, we have essentially three options at the conclusion of the hearing. One being that you make a motion immediately thereafter and call for a vote. Number two being that you request to adjourn to executive session for the purposes of litigation, since this is a currently pending lawsuit in Superior Court. Or three, that you fire straight into the regularly scheduled commission meeting and then call for executive session at the end. Out of an abundance of courtesy for the applicant, I think it would be appropriate to select B, and we could, as soon as the hearing concludes, adjourn to executive session for the purposes of litigation.
Great. We have worked to put some guardrails and structure around this hearing. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Attorney Corey to call up representatives from the Fountain Package Store.
If the applicant would like to approach and present the evidence they wish for the City Commission to consider.
Sure. Hey, how you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
This is my mother. I'll be helping her out. This was what we did last time, I believe. The Fountain Package Store, the renovations, the business plans, the before and after pictures of the store. This was before the counter that you walked into, and then it didn't look good. It wasn't renovated properly, or it wasn't managed well. So this is after that. This is what it looks like afterwards. This is the new counter. You walk in, you have a register. It's nice. Sorry. Go ahead. This is what it looks like from the side. Next. This was behind the counter. It was a mess, but then we cleaned it up, and we have one picture for after, I believe. This is what it looks like now. And then keep going. This was essentially like a storage area where all the liquor and everything was kept. And this is what it looks like now. It's clean, better. Okay, next. This was one of the other sides behind the, it's a three-way counter essentially. So this is the third side. Sorry, the second side essentially. You can go back. This is what it looks like now. We have a cooler and everything in there. Keep everything cold, nice. Go ahead. This was the electrical unit the city acquired when we got it for the new business license to redo this part. Specifically, the panel was outdated. So we went and redid that too. Go ahead, next. This is what it looks like now. Go ahead. And then this was the office. It was in a rough shape. And then we turned that into like long owls for I guess more bottles to be put. So I guess this is what it looks like now. And then this is the outside. This was the outside of the store. I know there was a few questions last time about this. We also renovated this part too. You can go ahead. And this is what it looks like now. Along with it is there's a grocery store next door, which is not open. Any questions? Sorry.
As we move through it, I want to provide you a space to present all of your evidence or anything else that you have that you may not have presented last time. So if you do have representation with you or anything else or anyone that would like to speak on behalf, we just want to make sure you get through all of that. And once that happens, I will go commissioner by commissioner, and they can kind of ask their questions as they have them one by one. So if there's any other representation that you have that you'd like to speak, they can come up as well.
Yeah, Jason. Yeah, go ahead.
Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jason Tate. Excuse me. I'm the legal representative for the applicant. They're obviously both here to speak about this as well, but what I would like to speak to is really kind of the process a little bit, and certainly this is a process I know that you are all familiar with. You have a wonderful legal counsel in Mr. Corey, who will obviously guide you through the legal process, and somebody that I have a good relationship with and work well with, and have confidence in to give you good legal direction. But I think the important thing in considering this application and applications of these nature in general is understanding kind of the process and that the law and the limits that the law places on this review. And the process is obviously governed by Chapter 3. I know that's something that Mr. Corey indicated had been provided to you in a package earlier today. I don't think I've seen that package, so I'm not really sure what all was in that. But the process is initiated with an application, and the application was filled out. A fee is paid. At that point, the code provides for a background check, an investigation into the individual to determine whether they are even, meet even the minimum threshold to be considered for it to move forward to the city council, city commission for the presentation of evidence and for consideration of the application on the merits. There's at least kind of a threshold issue or that has to be passed before we even get to that point. And I believe the record is already clear, and Mr. Corey, correct me if I'm wrong, that the applicants passed that background check, that threshold, no criminal history, no issues that would disqualify her from being qualified to hold the application.
That is correct.
Thank you. So once it kind of goes through that preliminary review, then it comes before the commission for consideration under the criteria of Chapter 3 of the code. And really at that point, you're getting into 3.6 or Section 3-6 of the code that lays out the the considerations, as the code uses that term, the considerations that the city commission is required to consider. And I would note from a legal standpoint that the language used in the code is that these criteria that are outlined in the code, the code says shall be considered. And when you're talking about shall in the world that I live in, shall is a term, as the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court has said, is a term of mandate, not suggestion, meaning that these are the criteria that the city council is required to consider. In addition to that, I would tell the city commission that the law, I believe on this, is fairly well settled in that when you're applying for a permit, of some kind, that unfettered discretion by any governing body is disfavored by the law. And so in adopting the ordinance, the law says that when considering these applications, unfettered discretion leads to abuse, leads to misuse, leads to arbitrary and capricious decisions. And so the law says that when these applications or these permits are going to be issued, then the governing body is required to define the considerations, define the standards through which the lens through which that application is going to be considered. And again, that was what now brings us back to Chapter 3-6, which deals with those considerations. And so not only under the law, not only are those considerations mandatory, required to be considered by this city commission, but they're also the only things that can be considered by that. Because the law says once the city has defined what the standard for the issuance of the permit is, then they have restrained their discretion. They've provided ascertainable and objective standards to the applicant so that it creates some certainty for the applicant to know what criteria is required. And it really fundamentally, guys, it traces back to fundamental processes, fundamental constitutional rights of due process and equal protection, basically saying we're going to set the rules of the game. We're going to tell you what those rules are, and then we're going to, challenge you to those. We're going to monitor those rules, and we're going to measure your application in against those rules so that everybody's playing by the same set of rules. And so that's really where in my opinion, that's kind of where Chapter 3-6 comes in. It becomes very important. And that preface, again, may be unnecessary, but I do think it sets the stage for kind of the consideration that the city commission has with respect to the application. And in going through, and I'm not going to belabor each individual point, but what I would suggest to the city commission is that really, if you look at the vast majority of the criteria that are laid out in 3.6, they really go to the character of the applicant. Is this the type of person that we believe is going to be lawful, is going to be dutiful, is going to take their responsibilities that come with the issuance of this application seriously? And if you go through, looking at one, it talks about the applicant's character and mental capacity to do the business. It talks about personal associations, records of arrest, reputation. 2, 3, 4 talk about prior history with respect to other liquor licenses or other permits that have been issued by this governing body or others. It allows the city to look outside of just the city of Brunswick, but maybe to other Glenn County, Camden County, other jurisdictions to see, is this the type of person who has had an application, or a license like this issued in the past? And do they have a history of abuse? Do they have a history of problems? There are other considerations as well, but I would suggest that a lot of them that really go back to, and I think the fundamental question that when I read Chapter 3, and again, this is just my opinion of it, and obviously everyone has their own, but when I read it, it jumps out to me as being fundamentally about, is this the type of person, is this the type of applicant that we can trust to follow the law, to, again, be considerate of their obligations, to follow their obligations? Is this somebody that we can trust to do what they are supposed to do? And if so, I would suggest, I believe the code, that's the type of person that not only should get the permit, but it's the type that we would want to have the permit. But I would also submit that it's the type of person that the code requires to get the permit, right? And in this case, what I think is really important, and certainly the applicant or her son can speak to this more directly if the commission desires. And I know, as the mayor said, y'all may have some specific questions, but this to me is really, I don't want to say an easy case because I don't think any of these are easy cases, right? I mean, there's always considerations beyond the application. There's always considerations, governing an entire community. So I don't want to suggest that any decision that the commission makes is an easy decision, but in the context of knowing that most decisions the commission makes may be difficult, to me, this falls on the easier side of the spectrum. And I'll tell you why. And the reason why is because the applicant in this case is somebody who is already engaged in a similar business in Glenn County. She does not have a liquor license in her name expressly, but she is an owner of a business that has a beer and wine license issued to it. And so what we have here is we have a history, a 14-year history, perhaps longer. 2014. So excuse me, 2014. So a 12-year history of compliance, a 12-year history of doing what's required by the law, a 12-year history of complying with local, state, regulations, laws. And again, going back to the individual criteria that Chapter 3 looks at and asks the court to consider, it's things like, again, as I mentioned, prior citations. And in this case, we have none. It's prior revocations. In this case, we have none. It's prior instances in which conduct of the applicant or conduct of the business required police intervention or investigative intervention. And in this case, we have none. So we've got a 12-year history here of someone who has run a similar business and run it lawfully and shown a commitment to doing what is required by the law. And I think that's really, really important, not only, again, but, because as somebody who does live in this community, as, understanding some of the perils that may associate with this type of business, having somebody of the highest character that we know is going to be sure that they are complying with those obligations, honoring those obligations, keeping their house clean is the type of people that we want running these businesses. Understanding that, however you feel about the business in general, it is a business that is profitable and in high demand, not just in the city of Brunswick, but in Glenn County and a lot of other places as well. And so it's going to attract people who want to run those businesses. And so again, the people I believe that we want running those businesses are the people that we can trust to run them ethically, to run them lawfully, and to take accountability and responsibility for them. And that's what we have here. And that's why I say, to me, again, understanding that a lot of the decisions the commission makes are not easy, but on the spectrum of easy to hard, this falls a little bit on the easier side to me because we have a track record here. It's not a leap of faith, ladies and gentlemen. We're not saying trust us and we will do. We're saying look at what we have done. And then you couple that, I believe, not just the history of the other businesses and running of the other business in Glenn County with the beer and wine license and having no issues, but it's then also the commitment that we've seen to this property and this business as well, the investment that they've made that Mr. Patel just went through in this particular property, this building, to bring it, up to code. And that was a big issue when they first stepped in. And look, that's a big commitment from them as applicants. They are lessees of the building. I mean, not owners. Now, I will tell you that I don't think it's inappropriate to share this. The desire is to purchase the building, and they have an agreement with the owner to ultimately purchase the building in the event that they can get the permit issued, because they want to own the building, they want to run the business. But frankly, from a economic standpoint, from a business standpoint, it doesn't make a lot of sense to buy the business and own it, buy the property and own it if they can't run the business out of it. In conjunction with the investment that they've made, a little bit of a leap of faith of their own, and in the community and in this commission to trust them, again, based on the track record that they're going to do this the right way. they've invested that money in the building and they've taken something that was significantly below code and brought it up to code and beyond. In addition to that, they have invested in a grocery store in connection with the property. My understanding of it is there's two buildings that kind of go together, and I don't know if they're connected or just don't, they're connected.
They're not connected. They're separate.
But so in addition to, as part of this business plan that they're looking to implement in their business plan, they have also moved forward with renovating a different building. And that's not really, it's kind of odd. I'm not sure I fully understand it, but my understanding, while it's one property and two buildings, they're two different addresses. So it's not, none of this other issue is not, this other business and this other grocery store is contained on the same property, but it's not really part of this in front of the commission. But I do think it's relevant for the commission to understand that they have invested in that as well. And that is in addition to the investment that they made in the building that is at issue for the permit today. They've made additional investment in this other property to make it an operable a grocery store for the community. So I think, I think there's, in a lot of decisions like this, there are a lot of considerations. There always are. The law sets out one kind of category of considerations that the courts, the city commission is required to look at and must look at. And then there's always other considerations that fall into that, but to me, I think what it really comes down to is not just the letter of the law, but the spirit of it as well. Not just do they check this box, which I would submit to you. I believe if you go down the criteria that are listed in Chapter 3 and just put out a check mark beside them or an X. I mean, I think if you go through chapter verse, the lines, I think you would see that you would have a check beside every single one of the criteria in the code. So I think they meet the letter of it, but I would also suggest to you that they meet the spirit of it as well, which is they are the type of people that, based on the history that we have, based on their commitment that they've made already, the type of people that we can trust, the community can trust to run the business the right way. So that would be that would be my reason for, that would be the only thing that I would say in my reasons for why I believe this application should be approved, and we would ask that it is approved.
Thank you for that, Mr. Tate. I appreciate that presentation. Mr. Patel, anyone else that you'd like to come forward to present before I open it up for questions? Okay. That being said, anything else, Mr.
No, I didn't. You want to talk to me, or you want to talk? I'm assuming
you know what, Mr. Patel, I'd ask that you come up, and as well as Mrs. Patel, and if you need, or if Mr. Tate is needed for anything, please feel free to come up and move back and forth. What we are going to do now, and City Attorney Corey, I'm going to pivot it over to you really quick.
I'm sorry to interrupt. There is one thing I do believe that we forgot to mention.
I did talk with the MPA, Mr. Dickerson, and his stance was neutral on there.
Say that.
Mr. Dickerson.
Kamayu Dickerson?
Yeah. His stance was neutral.
His stance was neutral.
Neutral, yes, neutral.
Okay. City Attorney Corey, you let me know if what we should do first. Number one, I want to respect the fact that it is printed on this agenda as a public hearing, which would mean I would need to open it up if I am not mistaken. I understand that we are in a work session, but I also see that it was written out as a public hearing. So I'm trying to figure that out.
That was not the intent. I believe the intent coming back from the Superior Court was to just have a similar review on appeal to limit the evidence as to what everybody wanted to present. But no, it should not have been advertised as a public hearing.
Okay. I just want to make sure it is written on the agenda that way. And so what I will say is, even in the spirit of what was put forward by the judge, in the spirit of ensuring that we are always open and transparent, Before we get into questions, Mr. and Mrs. Patel, if you don't mind, we are going to open it up for a public hearing. Anyone from the community that would like to say something to present to us, we are going to open it up for that. We will do a 2 to 3 minute cap so we can keep it moving. I know we started a little late, but thank you so much for being with us.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Mayor. I'm coming as a member of the Midtown MPA, which this establishment sits in the middle of. How they are good people. They've opened up their parking lot to have to have an activity that was specific for the community, for them to get to know members of the community. However, the MPA as a whole has wanted to put a restraint on the number of establishments that are in the area that are specific for beer and wine, with the exception of sit-down restaurants. And we've made that expressly, we've expressed that several times to make sure everyone understood, because as a whole, we're trying to bring different avenues of income or revenue for the city that are different and are not always offering that opportunity for alcohol, beer, wine, whatever the case may be. I know that they have recently added the establishment for the grocery store, but that was not common knowledge. And if that was, or if that's what they were trying to do, and that's separate and apart from the alcohol, from the liquor store, why isn't it open? And we also haven't heard anything about what they're offering, whether or not they'll be able to accept EBT, if they're making sure with those requirements for EBT, if they're going to be able to offer fresh fruit and vegetables and meat as designated by the EBT system. So as a whole, we have not given our blessing, if you call it that, for the opening of the liquor store. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And thank you for being with us this evening. With that, we were going to open it up for questions to Miss.
Somebody else.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I usually say come on up and stand in line. I'm sorry. How you doing this evening?
I'm Simona Holmes, and I am here on behalf of Urbana Perry Park MPA. And we just want to let the commission and the mayor know that we stand in agreement with Midtown MPA. The city has their quota, in our opinion, of liquor stores and places that sell wine and beer. So like it was said, these seem like very nice people. We're all very nice people, but our community is inundated with alcohol selling stores. So we would ask that the application be denied. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Maybe the final word. I think I was here less than a year ago where we discussed the concentration of liquor stores in the city of Brunswick, and we're inundated with them. There are a few right up the street in both directions of the establishment that they're looking to open. Again, I'm sure they're wonderful people, but our community deserves better than yet another liquor store establishment. Alcohol. I appreciate the grocery store. That's wonderful. My suggestion is knock the wall down and make a larger grocery store. We have areas within the city that are food deserts right now. And so we could use a grocery store, but I know that is not what is up for discussion at this hearing. So again, Urbana Perry Park, MPA, again, we stand with Midtown, and I hope that this is denied. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you, Dr. Waller. We will now move on to, good job. We'll wait 5 seconds. Is there anyone else for public hearing? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing portion. With that, we'll now move to individual questions from each commissioner to Mrs. and Mr. Patel, as well as their representation. We will start on the far right side with Commissioner Atkinson Williams and work our way over to the end with Commissioner Saby. And Commissioner Harris, we know you are online, and we will make sure we end with you.
Okay.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Since it was brought up about the grocery store and when exactly or how long has the grocery store, when was it open?
About a week ago.
A week ago?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. We've been working on it since November, so.
okay. And Attorney Tate mentioned that, can you explain he mentioned about community.
Okay.
Why that community to open up your establishment?
I don't do it. That was the liquor store that was on the market. I growing up here, we've been in Brunswick for about 12, maybe 13 years. So we were just looking for another business within our community, not too far away, obviously. And that's why we chose the city.
Not too far from your community? Or
No. I mean, like,
My bad.
I guess our family where we live, within the city, within Glenn County.
You live in the county, but not in the city. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So now, the county has a lot of land maps. Am I correct? You know what I mean? Lots of land, lots of areas where buildings and establishments could occur.
Yes.
Have y'all thought about putting it closer to where you live? I mean, you say community. I just want to make sure we understand. You said community, and you come into the city community from your establishment of 14 years. Am I correct? Your
Yes.
other establishment,
Cool.
your business establishment,
2014 to,
2014?
yeah,
Oh,
12
well,
years.
it's been more than 14,
12 years.
but since 2014.
Yeah.
And within that area close to your current establishment, do you see any place there in that community to add another business? Or the need to add another
This
business?
store is not too far, only just 5-6 minute to my other store to this store, only 5-6 minute distance.
5 to 6 minutes?
Yeah.
Driving.
That's right.
Driving, yeah.
Driving.
Okay.
We have other store at exit 36B,
That's-
Shell gas station.
Okay, 36 feet
Yeah,
on
so
the
it's not too far into business, that's why we choose.
straight up,
Yeah, straight up there.
341 North
Yeah.
Street Extension.
It's a 5 to 10 minute to go back and forth, so that's why.
Okay. I get, so basically it was the availability of the building.
Yeah.
That you felt like it was an investment
Yes.
or will be an investment.
Yes.
Okay. And in thinking about this investment, did you think about the area, how that you could improve the area when you thought about the location?
Yeah, man.
Improve that particular community, because Attorney
Yeah.
Tate kept saying that community. So I'm thinking about the community, that community, not the community as Glenn County community, but that particular community right there, that area.
Yeah, we did think about it. That's why we give back to the community, right? That's why we host events there. That's why we opened up the grocery store that was been shut down for like maybe 3, 4, 5 years, and it's open. So we did think about everything before doing it. Yes, and we have given a lot back to whether it's the city community or Glenn County community.
I'm talking about the city.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
when I say community, for me as a city commissioner, okay?
Okay.
I'm thinking about my city of Brunswick, the city of Brunswick, not Glenn County, okay? And these are the citizens my first and foremost concern of, right here in the city of Brunswick, not that community out there in Glenn County, okay? So my concern is, like it was said, and I highly agree. We learned that back in June that Winn-Dixie was closing. And we know it's going to take 8 months or more. We know that we was going to have a food desert here within the city of Brunswick, which in that particular community where you want to put the liquor store, they do not have a lot of resources to get to on the north side of the end. Yes, we've been blessed. The city has been blessed to establish the Brunswick Breeze. But prior to that, most of those people are what? They walk. Am I correct? You know that about that community,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They walk or ride or Brunswick Breeze is always moving now, yeah.
Okay. Brunswick Breeze has been out
Yeah.
since what, October?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just wanting, I'm gonna leave it alone. But I'm just saying, to me, the food desert is what we all needed as helping our community. You understand? This community, the grocery store,
This as in the city.
the
community.
city.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm finished.
Commissioner Rule?
I don't have much to say, because y'all have been before us before. I will say though, when you talked about having the grocery store months ago, in my opinion, we gave suggestions, right? We pretty much gave you all a business plan sitting up here. And if you realize we gave you that the first time you came before us, right? And the vote was a 3-2. So we gave you, you took time, then you came back after we gave suggestions. And then that particular time, the vote went from a 3-2 to 5-0, right?
Yeah.
Because your concerns were the grocery store. So tonight, when you showed photos, the main focus was on the liquor store. Never did you mention until afterwards about, we just opened a week ago when Commissioner Atkinson Williams asked about it. You say you did something in the community at the location?
Yeah, yeah. We had essentially my father-in-law died. This was supposed to be his project, but he died about 20 days before after. He died 20 days. We started that. But right? Yeah, he did. He died. This was originally supposed to be bought for him when he moved down here. But he died 30 days before purchasing everything. So we had a breast cancer awareness program for him and all the donations and everything went to the American Cancer Society for that. We also did in November, we partnered with Longshoremen to give out turkeys over on the other side of town too.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm sorry for your loss
Yeah,
and thank
that's
you for that donation to the American Cancer Society. But just a suggestion, like you say, you did something in the community, but we I didn't hear about it, or get an invitation, so I wasn't aware, so I'm not really sure. And then also when we talk about our community and talk about what's good for business, once again, as a reminder, I say it all the time about the 31520 zip code being one of the poorest in the state of Georgia. People talk a lot about what we need in the community, certain businesses. It's just not an attractive place, right? Because they look at education, right? And they look at income and a lot of things, right? So the good things can't come because there's so much bad things around. I wake up in the morning if I'm driving to work or taking my son to school and it's already someone on the corner with a brown bag drinking a beer, right? Because they're drunk. Some of them have mental issues that they're combining the alcohol and beer with medication. And it's just not a good look, right? The unincorporated parts of Glenn County, they don't look like that because the liquor stores are in, business areas, commercial. Same thing when you drive over the bridge, St. Simon's, it's the same thing. So it's just not an attractive look for our community. It's not, liquor stores everywhere. It's just not a look for a community that I feel as if it has a lot of potential and we are growing and we are on the rise. So that's just all what I wanted to add on what I had to say about that. Thank you.
Commissioner Harris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I too am a little like the others. There has not been any new evidence or information provided to us that we have not already considered. And so with that, I'll lead into the saturation of these specific types of establishments. It abuts a community, immediately abuts a community. I'll go to the health and the welfare of that community, asking an economical question, an economics question. How is this establishment benefiting this specific area? How is it causing this area to grow economically? How is it servicing the area economically? And I understand that when you open a business, it's an investment and you're doing it because you, the business owner, is trying to make a profit. But we have a lot of businesses, be they beer and wine, be they clothing, be they food establishment, restaurants, healthcare facilities, gyms, you name it, we have it. And one of the main concerns for this area is the establishment of a place that the citizens can actually go to and get the needs met beyond just getting a bottle of spirits or a can of beer or something, some wine or something to that effect. We have been asking that the consideration be given by any person seeking to have a business in the city of Brunswick proper, is that the business you bring is going to actually be something that is going to stimulate economically the growth of whatever area it's put in. That's just like a church should not just be put somewhere, but or just benefit the people that go to that church or that are part of that congregation. It should benefit the entirety wherever it's placed because it's there. That area should grow. It should be stimulated economically. That the people in that community are benefiting because that business is there. And so for me, I've not seen any different. We appreciate the efforts that have been made. I would encourage that those efforts continue and that the investment beyond just the business be rooted so that we can see that economically that business has come there and it has been planted and it has spreaded its roots, that you see that area not be in the condition that it still is in now, that we can measure the growth because of that establishment being in that community. And so for me, I don't see any change in anything that has been presented on tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Mayor Pro Tem Saby.
Good evening. Good to see you all again. I have a couple quick questions, a little bit picking off of some of the other commissioners. Was there any thought process or internally with you as owners about potentially adjusting your hours for the sale of beer, wine, and alcohol, or even maybe potentially eliminating, for example, Sunday sales, not selling alcohol until 10 or 11 or noon? Can you speak to that?
Yeah. We were considering the 10. I think that was one of the things you asked me last time. Do you mind opening up at 10? I said, yeah, that's completely fine. Sunday sales doesn't. I don't really mind if they're there. Then they're there. Then if not, then it doesn't really bother me. We will stay closed on Sundays.
Okay, I have some additional questions in this, maybe for Attorney Corey or Deputy Marshal. I did hear the couple members from the MPA come up and share their opinion about, did you guys make an official presentation to both of those MPAs at all, or did you just
No,
meet with them?
we had no
You
idea.
did not do that? Okay. And then also, Mr. Corey, the adjacent properties, those are zoned residential, is that correct?
I would have to double check, but I do believe that there is one to the adjacent one. Yes, I believe is zoned residentially. But I can check.
So I just want to make sure I understand, over the last, let's say, year during this process, you have not formally presented at any of those NPA meetings that were.
No, not for Fountain or 2300 Norwich Street. Yeah.
Okay. I misspoke. They're all general commercial.
All general commercial?
Correct.
Both.
There's one separated behind the property is unique in a shape but it's separated by Norwich Street Lane. There's a residential sort of located back behind, but the property is almost entirely surrounded by general commercial.
That's correct, Mr. Hunter, that they're, okay.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Attorney Corey, the one.
Hold on 1 second. We want to definitely write that question down. I'll come back, but I want to make sure Mayor Pro Tem Sabi, we complete questions of everyone, then we can circle back.
Can you give me an idea of, in all your presentations, I personally have not been physically inside of the store.
Yes, sir.
So I'm a little curious to know kind of like roughly if you know the square footage,
Yeah,
like how much like kind of inventory you're gonna, and the reason I'm asking that question is to kind of get of an understanding of the volume that you're projecting on doing and that kind of stuff. Again, going back to some of the concerns we have with.
Yeah, the liquor store is not big. It's about 1,800, maybe at most 1850 square feet. So it's not very big. The grocery store is much larger. It comes in at 2,300 square feet. So we kept that. And it's not gonna do like, I would say, if you want to estimate the expected sales, probably give or take 1,500 to 2,000 daily. In terms of revenue, that doesn't,
Yeah, and I'm not
And-
concerned about, I mean, the revenue's your revenue and that's your business model. What I was concerned about is the volume of traffic and the volume of alcohol and beer distribution. What about, do you plan to acquire a lottery license and have gaming machines?
No. The game machines are illegal in a liquor store and we're not considering lottery at all. Yeah.
I
Correct.
wanted to make sure that also, is that also your intention on the grocery store side?
There is scratch offs when it comes to the grocery store,
Okay.
but there's no consensus for
No
lottery.
gaming machines per se, or? I don't have any further questions, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Atkinson Williams, I think you had a question for City Attorney Corey.
City Attorney Corey, on M Street,
Hmm.
if you're standing in the front of the building, facing the building,
Correct.
on the right-hand side, aren't there houses, there residents?
If you're standing on M Street,
If you stand in front of the building, facing the building from the Norwich Street,
okay.
on the right-hand side, there's two houses that reaches to Wolf Street, two residents?
I don't know the uses of the building, but I think the question was, are they zoned? The properties all along Norwich. So if you're looking at the building to your right across M Street is still zoned general commercial. They may be residentially used, but they're zoned general commercial.
Okay.
Is it possible to get it pulled up on the
I
screen?
think
to
I could
give it-
probably try to share my screen real quick. One moment. Okay, so this is the parcel in question. That's what I was saying. It's rather unique in nature. So all of what is in pink is general commercial, and then behind it in the orange is general residential. And then you see that there's a separation back behind. This one here? Mhm.
Right behind that key. That's a problem.
Here? 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 Okay, yes, those are residential.
Any additional questions from the commission? Hearing none, we will now open it for an adjournment to executive session for matters of litigation. Do I have a motion?
I move that we adjourn to executive session for litigation.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and a second, all those in favor show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, we are adjourned for executive session. Listen again. We appreciate you all for being patient with us. We have returned from executive session and we will open the floor for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I move to deny the alcohol license application for retail sales of beer, liquor, and wine at 2300 Norwood Street for the reasons of high saturation of similar license in the area and the negative impacts to the general public health and welfare of the residents in the immediate area of the proposed location.
The motion is recognized, but before I go to a second, I want to ensure that Commissioner Harris is online.
And
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Harris. We recognize the motion that is before the commission. Is there a second?
Second.
Hearing a second, all those in favor show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, hearing none, the motion passes. With that, we will open it for a motion to adjourn our work session.
So moved.
Hearing a first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, all those in favor show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, we are adjourned from the City Commission's work session. With that, we will move forward into our Brunswick City Commission regular scheduled commission meeting for Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. Can we please all stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance? Can we bow? Father God, thank you for the time that we have to come together. Thank you for the time that we get to hear from one another, try and grow with one another to build the city that you have for us. Watch over each and every one of us as we work together in that endeavor. In your son, Jesus' name, we do pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, we will move on to the approval of the agenda and the adoption of the January 21st, 2026 regular scheduled meeting agenda. Is there any addendums or subtractions?
Mr. Mayor, I have one item. I'd like to make a motion that we defer item number 9 under consider items for approval. So we defer approval of the municipal court collection services agreement with Integral Recoveries.
Perfect. Do I hear a second to that motion?
Second.
Here in a second, all those in favor show by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes and the agenda is amended. With that, I want to put before the commission and ask for a further amendment to the agenda. We have some Public Works retirees before us, but they are not able to be with us this evening. And for all of their work, I want to be able to publicly recognize them while they are here. So I can't make a motion, but I would put it forward that we defer both numbers 2 and 3 until a date set by Director Albertson.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we remove items under recognition and presentations for Public Works retirees to a later date.
Hearing a first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, all those in favor show by the usual sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes and the agenda is amended. One further ask from the mayor. There is an appointment to the Coastal Regional Commission, a non-public representative that is a mayoral appointment. We have had a long-serving member on that board who I'd like the chance to talk to before I replace him. I know he's moved on to another board, but just want to give a shout to him and be able to talk to him. If I could have that Coastal Regional Commission appointment deferred, as we also have a public representation from Commissioner Saby or Mayor Pro Tem Saby. I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we defer under appointments, the Coastal Regional Commission, the non-public representative to a later date.
Wonderful. Hearing there's first, do I hear a second? Hearing the first and the second, all those in favor show by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes and the agenda is fully amended. Any other addendums or subtractions? Hearing none, we will open it for a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the agenda as amended.
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, all those in favor show by the usual sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes and the agenda as amended is adopted. With that, we move on to appointments to a commission and authority, with one appointment, a mayoral appointment to the Brunswick Housing Authority. I want to make a quick statement here. We have been contacted by the Housing Authority, and they have asked us to add 2 additional members to their board to ensure, that they have a broader subset of individuals working on the board, to make sure that they have quorum at all meetings, but to also ensure that they keep an odd number on the board to keep the work flowing. With that, I will make one appointment tonight, and for the following meeting, I will be making 2 additional appointments to the Brunswick Housing Authority, expanding that aboard. The appointment that I'm making tonight is the appointment of Dr. Regina Hedgeman Johnson to the Brunswick Housing Authority. With that, we will move on to the Brunswick Glen Joint Water and Sewer Commission. One appointment put forward, and this is a member of the commission. I would like to put forward that Mayor Pro Tem Saby has been doing absolute Oldman's work for us over there and working on that commission. That is a time-extensive commission or a time-intensive commission, and he's done an exceptional job working over there. And so with that, I can't make a motion, but I'd like to put his name forward to continue to serve on the Brunswick Joint Water and Sewer Commission.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we continue to allow Mayor Pro Tem Saby to serve on the Brunswick Glen Joint Water Sewer Commission.
Hearing a first, do I hear a second? I'll be the second. All those in favor show by the usual sign of aye. Perfect. All those in favor show by the usual sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Saby. With that, we will move on to public hearing, appeal, and proposed ordinance. Want to make sure. With that, we will move on to the public hearing portion for ordinance number 1089, amendment to chapter 23 and the waiver applications process. City Attorney Corey.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number 1089 has actually been here several times before the commission. There was an extended, I won't say extended, but there were several discussions just related to making sure the revisions from the commission were included and the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals recommendations were included. The last hearing, there was a consensus to move forward with advertising and holding a public hearing. Because it is a zoning ordinance amendment, it needs to abide by the requirements of the ZPL zoning planning law. And so there has to be at least one public hearing prior to the adoption of the ordinance. So we are holding that public hearing tonight. There was a concern by Commissioner Harris that she relayed to me. And I do believe it is a amendment that we can make, but I wanted to discuss it with the commission. I think it might be best, though, I would like, if we could, to open it for the public hearing to see if there are any other recommendations or comments, considerations that the public may have, so we can take those up before we have a vote on item number 7 for approval. So I will withhold and allow the public hearing to take place.
With that, we will hold off for City Attorney Corey. And we will now open it for a public hearing on ordinance number 1089, Amendment to Chapter 23, the waiver application process. Anyone who would like to speak on the ordinance number 1089, public hearing session is now open. I usually like to wait about 20 seconds to leave it open. If City Attorney Corey is working on something, we'll leave it open for a little bit longer, but you're good. All right, so we will leave it open for 20 seconds. And with that, the public hearing portion is closed. We'll turn it back over to City Attorney Corey.
If you, I believe everybody has a copy of the ordinance in their packet. So if you would look to what would be section, it's on page 1, 2, 3. It is actually subsection, I apologize. It is, oh my gosh, I've lost it now. Starts on page 2, subsection G, expiration and transferability. It's the last item on section, page 2. Under that section G, there is a subsection therein, paragraph 2, a waiver shall run with the land and remain valid for subsequent owners, provided that development occurs in substantial conformity with the approved plans. Commissioner Harris actually raised this issue, and I don't think it is a bad recommendation that the waiver run with an applicant who has received it as opposed to it running with the land. I do think we've talked about, and this could be handled 2 different ways. One could be a specific amendment to the ordinance that removes that language or states something to the effect of, the waiver shall run with the approved applicant. Or 2, that we did add in under subsection F, the conditions for approval or conditions of approval. I think the city commission could look to place conditions on an application to limit that to the applicant, but the overriding ordinance still allows for it to run with the land. So I'm sort of putting it towards the commission as to what, if there is a discussion on that item. But I do think an issue might arise where an applicant is granted such a waiver with plans, turns around and sells the property, and the new applicant who believes they have a height waiver wants to move it over somewhere else on the property. And I think that's the whole crux of these conditions that we're trying to place on this waiver, is that we need to have some specificity as to how the waiver will be used in terms of the development of the property. So if the waiver is running with the land and a subsequent owner comes in and wants to subsequently change plans or do something, I know that there's probably a process that we're going to have to go through internally, but a waiver can be not continuously requested, but reapplied for if either denied or lost. This waiver is only good for 12 months and 1 additional request for an extension. So my thought is that if it was going to expire naturally, or it has the ability to expire naturally, or if you already own property zoned for much, you can come in and apply for a waiver under this new ordinance, that I do believe it should run with the applicant as opposed to running with the land.
We are going to open it. Is that all you have for us on that?
Yes.
Director Hunter, I want to wait to make sure we get all the information. I like to do the same thing with questions. We'll go down. Commissioner Atkinson Williams, you good to start, or you want to start?
I do not have any questions, but I think.
Oh, hold on one second.
Sorry.
Any additional information?
It was a good point by Director Hunter. I think my thought and the thoughts of Commissioner Harris as well is this would be a circumstance where the waiver has not been acted upon. There has not been construction completed utilizing the waiver. So the height waiver, if it has been acted upon and act of God, you're still grandfathered into using that waiver if the property is subsequently sold. I think that what I was suggesting in the revision, if I'm correct from Commissioner Harris, is that if a waiver is granted or this height variation, I shouldn't use variation, but height waiver is granted and not acted upon, but it is used as a ticket or something along those lines to then sell the property within the time period in which the waiver could be acted upon. I think that creates a problem with the potential buyer coming in and wanting to switch things around under something that's already been approved by the commission. I do think they need to be reconsidered in that sense. But if it has been acted upon, it would run with the land, of course, and be grandfathered. So,
But
Wonderful. That's it.
yep.
Solid. We'll do the same questionnaire.
Sure.
Commissioner Atkinson Williams, we'll start down with you.
so you're saying that this waiver or this link has been already acted upon, or I'm kind of, or are you talking about the applicant, or that's back up?
So if a waiver has been completed, if they have gone through and completed the waiver and completed the construction that required the waiver, it would always be grandfathered in as the property is continuously sold with a height variation, a height waiver. If they have not, Commissioner Harris wanted to look into the fact, and I think there's a question here, is if they have received one from the city commission and then they turn around and sell the property without utilizing it,
Okay.
does the new owner have the right to utilize it? And I would be concerned that if there is changes in plans of something that has already been approved, so they've submitted something to the city and said, this is why we want the height waiver, previous owner, the commission grants the waiver, someone else purchases it thinking they have this height waiver and they want to move it wherever it is on the property. It's something we discussed last time. Then there may be an issue that they would need to come back before the commission for reapproval or reconsideration.
Right.
As it's written, a waiver shall run with the land and remain valid for subsequent owners, provided that development occurs in substantial conformity with the approved plans. So I do think there's a component there that, go ahead, the commissioner.
So, yeah, and you're the expert, but my interpretation of that item number 2, because it says, to your point, subsequent owners, so after they sold, provided that the development occurred or occurs in substantial conformity with the approved plans. I mean, I agree with Commissioner Harris that we need to avoid being able to transfer this if it doesn't happen. But my interpretation of item number 2 is that, exactly to your point, it's already been built and then somebody purchases it. Then they're not going to have to chop the top story off.
Right. I think that's the interpretation that needs to be followed through on this, is that
Okay.
if it has been completed, then it runs with the land. And maybe that I guess.
And it says conformity with the approved plan.
Right.
So that would eliminate the possibility of them moving it to a different location or.
I think that's what John was just asking me about earlier,
Yeah.
is that there always will be a grandfathering clause if that is completed.
Yeah.
And maybe can we add wording to give clarification? I mean, because that's always been my biggest thing right now, that clear point, concise.
Yep. I think that I could add some clarity to that.
Substantial
Inc-
conformity, does that mean a certificate of occupancy? Does that
Right.
mean approved building inspection, whatever the case may be?
I can talk, and I will,
Okay.
I'll get with John about that. We might not be,
I don't think we're far off is the point.
no.
I don't think we need to add another bullet, is my personal opinion.
No, I
Yeah.
think it just needs to be within that subsection 2.
In subsection 2, right?
Yes,
Even if it's another sentence within subsection.
that's correct.
Yes.
I think it just needs a couple of
Right.
words. So I will ask at this point then that we've held the public hearing in accordance with the ZPL. I can make, as would come if any other member of the public makes a suggestion, I can make those revisions and bring it back at the next commission meeting for approval. So I would ask to defer the following item.
Perfect. I want to, before we defer, I want to get through any
there's any-
questions
sorry.
that no additional commissioners may have. Commissioner,
Oh,
You good?
I'm pretty much, I mean, I agree with, Commissioner Harris. Attorney Corey is going to make the change, clarity, be concise, and we'll be.
yeah, Mayor Pro Tem Saby.
The only other question I had for Director Hunter and Mr. Corey, just remind me on our treatment of variances. So does that continue with the land or is that tied to the owner?
A variance?
Yes.
I believe a variance would also run with the land.
Okay, so that, I guess, that was my thought, was that we need to try to make sure that we're somewhat consistent there.
Yes.
If, in that treating of,
And it would be similar. I keep trying to separate the two because this waiver
Yeah.
is very different than a variance.
Right.
Procedurally, and approved, how it is approved
Mhm.
and what your recourse is if denied. But they do carry very similar traits.
and I guess part of my question with that is that our planning department is adept and is used to keeping track of those special case situations like a waiver or like a variance. And so I'm confident that if we move forward with this, that we'll be able to keep track of it and enforce it properly. Thank you. No further questions.
Commissioner Harris, any additional questions or comments?
Counterparts have hit it as it should be.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that catch. That's amazing.
Yes, that was good.
With that, I will open it for a motion to defer item 7, pending edits from City Attorney Corey.
And I would defer to a date certain of next February,
First meeting in February.
yes, thank you.
Yep, first meeting in February. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I move to defer item number 7, consider adoption ordinance number 1089, amendment to chapter 23, waiver application process procedure to the next meeting, which is the first meeting in February.
Thank you.
Here in the first, do I hear a second? Here in a second. All those in favor show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Item 7 is deferred. And we will now move on to items to consider for approval. Number 8, consider approval of January 7th, 2026 regular scheduled meeting minutes. Are there any addendums or subtractions? Hearing none, we will open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the January 2026 regular schedule meeting minutes.
Here in the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
In the first and the second, all those in favor show by sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. We'll now move on to updates and a blight tax update from Director Hunter.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. To have just a very brief presentation and update about the results of the blight tax implementation so far. So as y'all know, in December 2024, we enacted major revisions to our building and housing regulations that did a number of things for us. One was create a derelict property ordinance that gave us a little bit more power in dealing with some of our problematic properties. And we also enacted the blighted property ordinance, which gave new powers to be able to designate properties as blighted. It created criteria that defined what blight was and set up a process for us to notify owners of blighted properties and enact a tax increase known as the blight tax that was set at 7 times the millage rate. It was our task this past year to put this in place and see some results. We can go to the next slide, please. So in April 2025, our property maintenance inspector field verified our existing dilapidated structures list. And we use that as the starting point because we had a track record with those properties where we had already gone out and our building official had assessed them as dilapidated. Owners had been notified previously, and we'd had complaints about those properties, all in our record. So we took those records, verified that we had what met the criteria for blighted, but then also went out in the field to verify that the conditions were still in place, updated our photos and any notices of violation that we needed to just make sure we're out there. In July of 2025, we then further updated the list for any new permits, demolitions, or real estate transactions that had taken place and verified the owners of record so that we made sure that we had as accurate information as possible before we started notifying owners. If you go to the next slide, please. So in August, we mailed notices to 131 properties that we were deeming them blighted. And that letter included the steps necessary to rectify that situation, how to contact us and develop a plan, and encouraged and also informed the property owner of what the potential tax increase would be. So they could see part of what we waited for was to have the digest so we knew what the 2025 tax rate was going to be. So we could say, this is what your property taxes will be if it's not blighted. And this is what the blight categorization will have and its impact monetarily. So out of that 131, we actually had 46 owners come in, commit to a plan to address the blighted conditions. This first go round and first notification, we were fairly lenient. We essentially gave everybody that came in a year. So as we got to looking at this same point this year in 2026, if no action had been taken, they'd be put back on the blight list and would not be given a second chance. They would still be able to address conditions, but they wouldn't be able to reduce the taxes without addressing the conditions. So we put these 46 owners on this plan and quickly saw some results with already having 13 properties demolished since those letters went out in August, and another 13 have pulled permits to begin work on structures. Seeing, just under 50% of properties start to address the issue, just about a third of the properties start to address issues. And of that third, just over 50% start to actually physically address them was very encouraging. Honestly, it's much better results than we get from notice of violation letters and going through some of our court processes. So additionally, there have been almost $18,000 in blight taxes collected so far. So some people have chosen just to pay. That won't keep us from coming back to them with more notices of violation and trying to move them to dealing with the issues. But it does show that we've gotten some good results to begin with. So our next steps with this, we'll kind of redo this process. As we were verifying the existing list, we also added to the list. So our first round of, as we were doing that field verification, people got new notices of violation that may not have gotten them before. So now that we have those properties on the clock, we'll go through the same assessment process annually so that we're continually addressing any changes that take place during the course of a year. So I think as a first time out, it's some good results. We'll see how those other 20 or so owners have committed to a plan, see how they do over the next few months. And hopefully we'll be able to continue to address some of these conditions on properties throughout the city.
Thank you for that update. Questions or comments from the commission?
I'll just chime in and say, Director Hunter and your staff, I think, have been doing yeoman's work. Appreciate all the hard work. This is something new for the city, but as you've demonstrated, I think we've seen some good progress. I do want to, would love to see on our next little report, I'd love to see a breakdown of residential and commercial properties and how they factor in. And
Yeah.
I know that residential was primarily our initial focus, but look forward to
Yeah.
seeing some
Yeah, I
commercial.
think of the commercial properties that we had on there, I did not have any follow-up from those commercial properties.
So it'll be great to see some progress, obviously, from our community on the commercial side as well as the residential. And it is promising to see, and hopefully the community recognizes that this is just an effort, a collaborative effort with us and property owners to try to clean up the neighborhoods. And the reason for the blight tax is those blighted properties are a drain to city resources, and it costs us an exorbitant amount of money to help try to maintain and police and serve those blighted properties, and they're not contributing to the tax rolls in our community. So I'm glad to see it's working. Thanks again for your hard work, and look forward to seeing more progress as we move forward.
Any additional questions or comments?
Just want to say, continue to do the good job.
Thank you.
John, Commissioner Harris. Any questions or comments?
Just a comment. Thank you. Just a big thank you to John and the entire staff for working so diligently to help to bring this to pass and help us to be able to find some remedy to what we have had for decades in the city, and that's those blighted properties, and encouraging the owners of those properties to come and do something about them. So we are making a big we're pushing. I think we're making a big push in that area, starting to let people know that we are going to help you to maintain your properties, but when you are not doing so, we're going to hold you accountable as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Harris. One quick question for me. I'd be interested in seeing, and you don't have to have the answer this evening, how you all are tracking and keeping up with those who have taken the 1 year kind of probationary period. I would hope that, we don't wait a year to circle back to them. At least we would have either quarterly or, semi-annual check-ins with those clients.
Yeah, we'll check in with them probably, I would say probably May or June, roughly. That way we've got we're continually looking and comparing our lists. So when new permits are pulled or changes, we can update it. But if we haven't seen any action, we'll probably be looking at May and June as a time to recontact and say, you're going to be facing this again if you don't do X. So
wonderful. And on those commercial properties, have you seen, just in your estimation, most of them just kind of paying the fee, or have they had no response at all?
No response at all.
The reason is if that is the same after about 6 months, then I would like us to revisit them maybe being at a different rate than what residential properties are at. The reason I want to have that conversation is because obviously the impact of derelict properties in a commercial state impact the community a lot more than a home. So I know that's down the road, but the work that's been done has been amazing. So I thank you.
Thank you.
With that, any needs for executive session, City Attorney Corey?
I do not.
And with no needs for executive session, we will open it up for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
With a first and a second, all those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Here and no, we are adjourned.